Hi, I'm Matt from hockeyreviews.ca, and this is the Bauer Hyperlite glove snapshot review. So I didn't buy this, and you'll kind of see why at the end of the video why I didn't buy it. I didn't buy this glove to use and to test out, but I'm going to do a snapshot review of it, go over its features, and the big thing is we are going to compare it against these, which are the old Bauer gloves. I have talked for years now about how Bauer gear is going down in quality and specifically protection for their gloves, and we're going to take a look to see if that is what happened here. They added an interesting kind of shot blocker piece on it, so maybe they're not doing that anymore. We'll take a look and see what it is here. We'll also do the 3D hand test so you can get an idea if this fits like a normal retail glove or if it fits slightly different. And this is a 14, so we have a good comparison compared to other gloves that we have checked in the past. So starting off with the most important part is the colorways and how the glove actually looks. Fortunately, this store that I got these from only had red in 14s, so I couldn't actually get one of the funkier color ones, but they do have navy and red and stuff, and they do have different colorways. So one of them is, this is a color that goes kind of here, and then on the fingers, and then this is a different one, and the cuff is a different one, and that's a different one. Obviously for gloves, depends on what your team is kind of looking at. It's kind of an interesting thing, and unfortunately these are pro stock gloves, so the colorways obviously weren't what the retail one was. This one was kind of all over the place. I had 1X, it had like some weird segments right here. This one, it's all right, it looks fine. So honestly, it's just the look of a glove isn't a huge deal to me, and everything else is more important, to be totally honest. So we're gonna go into the rest of these here, and we are gonna talk about some of the features on here. Core Tech, which are core shorts, and people have heard of these before. They were labeled under Under Armour before. Now Bauer sells hockey specific one, but Core themselves sell their own line of pants and supportive clothing and apparel. Basically, this stuff helps you with growing strains, growing pulls, and helps keep your hips tight and everything like that. And speaking of injuries, I kind of pulled a growing playing in the playoffs a few months ago and have had to keep using these Core Tech shorts to make sure my growing doesn't get worse. When I don't wear them, I can feel it and it hurts kind of to walk the next day. With these, keeps everything nice and tight and keeps everything from stretching out too far and getting injured. So these have been a huge savior for me. Check out the link in the description to their website and use my coupon code that's in there to get a discount, and I'll put it on the screen here. It helps support myself and the channel so I can make content and doing real reviews, but also you get a solid product that I use all the time and basically am needed. And we'll start with the thumb, and they have a two-piece thumb now, so you can see that is how it flex. It does have hyper extension, so you can't pull it back, but that is the flex piece on this. That is, again, kind of backwards from what Bauer has done in the past with their gloves, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. On the cuff, you have this 3D kind of logo here, and Bauer has been doing this for a while for their retail gloves, where instead of like it being sewn on like a pro stock one like this, they have it kind of like this. So this is on the Supreme, it's on here as well, and it used to be sewn on, as you can see with this one. This was an APX2 Pro though, so while it is a retail glove, it wasn't technically the same level as this because the Pro was kind of one above with a different palm material and kind of less fancy features and more of like what a pro stock type glove was. We do have this interesting kind of, it's exposed foam, and they call it their Exolite technology, and you can see it stitched in there, and that's just for the cuff protection. And for the cuff, you can see for flexing, it doesn't really move a whole lot. Part right here though is a piece of elastic, and you can see how it's segmented, so it doesn't really get in the way, and that is why it doesn't flex. It still has some weird choice of spandex back here, even though the glove can't really flex down, so there's no point having that spandex there whatsoever, and in fact it's going to make protection worse on it, but it's there. And I mean, it's been on Bauer gloves for a bit, and it goes all the way across, so you can see that as well. For the fingers, you have a 3-piece here and 2-piece everywhere else. You see a bunch of companies going to more 3-pieces on everywhere. I think True has them for all of them, but Bauer is just sticking with a 3-piece right here. The whole backhand design is a 1-piece plate for more protection. This is not plastic though, which is kind of interesting. It's actually a foam, and you can kind of push it inwards and see it's a foam, and you can hit it. It almost sounds like a plastic, but it's not. It's just a foam, and you can kind of squish it down, and underneath it just has normal foams back there as well. When we get to the side, we have your kind of finger protection here, so if a stick kind of ramps up or kind of digs with the tip of it, you have padding right here. And this is interesting because this actually does have plastic pieces on this, and this is very hard on the corners, so that's how you can kind of tell. So all of these are in fact plastic pieces, and it's probably this plastic specifically, which came off of a Bauer glove before, so that is probably there. That's actually a really solid design and like a well done job for that, right? And you can also see that plastic piece right here as well, and also right here and possibly right here. I think it's probably there as well. It's pretty limited on there. You won't see anywhere else on the glove. So those are the points I wanted to call out on there. So we'll look at their palm, and they have their Dura Connect, which it's just marketing stuff. It doesn't have AX suede marked on here anymore. So I think Bauer got away from that AX suede, which was on kind of all of these things before. Well, these were called Quattro, but I'm pretty sure it was AX weight. It was like Bauer's own thing of it. AX weight, you have to license that. So I'm pretty sure Bauer has gotten away from that and they're using their own material now. Have this overlay and like a little bit of grip almost texture in this overlay. And you can see on the inside how that kind of palm is designed. It has that split just like a standard glove. And you have that overlay. For the fingertips and everything, it is spandex all the way through for maximum comfort. And that's kind of what this glove is honestly totally going for, is all comfort and being extremely lightweight. When we get onto the inner liner, they have their Thermocore Zero, which is, they used to have 37.5, again, licensed thing. They cut that back. They have their own thing of it now, and that is the inner liner. It's this red material. It's been around for quite a while. It's very comfortable and soft on it. It feels kind of really soft all around. The top of the fingers also feel extremely soft in this glove. You put this glove on and it feels fantastic in terms of a comfort level. It is so soft, it's like so broken in and so comfortable. So it's really good from that sense of things. And for weight on this is simply probably going to be the lightest glove in the market. And I'll talk about that in a little bit in the future of why. And you saw how little plastic was in here. That's obviously the big reason why. But Bauer is doing some things, which we'll talk about in a second, that will kind of point out to like what led to that. And for mobility on this, it is super broken in out of the box. It feels very soft. The thumb isn't as good as the 3-piece thumbs are, but it's still solid and it's fine. You can see fingers and everything move really easily. It feels really broken in. And even with this plate, because of this segment right here, you can touch your pinky and thumb totally fine and it moves totally fine. And you can see how that all works. Now, when you do kind of do the whole hand opening like that, you can see this doesn't really flex all that much, but it's not bad, and this is flexing down where it should. Now it brings me to the important part of this glove and what is protection on here. And Bauer just keeps going down this route, and it's extremely disappointing to see. This glove is all advertised as being the lightest glove on the market. Yes, it's called Hyperlite. Yes, it's the Vapor glove, and people are like, oh, Vapor's lightweight, whatever. That's fine. Bauer used to be one of the glove leaders in the market. Like, this was a retail glove. Now this is what they have, and the weight on this is honestly feels like double what this is, and it's pretty nuts that that's the case. But there's a reason that's the case, and there's a reason that this isn't the glove that the players who are in the NHL and in NCAA are not using. They're using a more beefier glove, and a glove that will actually protect your hand. Bauer advertises on here Defense Cloud technology, and it's their new foam package stuff that they're using. In the past, Bauer always advertised Poron XRD. Poron was a fantastic material in terms of protection and for being like an awesome foam. This is what Poron is, this yellow piece right here. So you can see very dense foam. Problem is it's heavy. They have to license it. It's expensive. That Defense Cloud technology is all their own foams where they don't have to license it. Licensing costs more money. Now you can see where the 37.5 is gone from. The Poron is gone from. You can see where Bauer is kind of doing this. And this is, again, amazing foam package. And all of these pieces had plastic on top of them. So this was what Bauer used to do. This is what is still on the Pro Stock gloves, like this one and like most of this glove. And we'll talk about that in a second as well. Continuing on this, we look at this glove for protection, and there's nothing in this cuff. So this cuff is a single density foam that does this. So you can see what happens when a puck hits this. These have plastic inserts. So when you try to bend it, you really can't because there's a plastic insert in there. Even this glove, which was a retail glove, is stiffer and more solid than what this is. This is just a lighter foam and it's thinner through it. This one didn't have a plastic piece in it, but it did have that full padding back here. It did have that stupid spandex lower on, but that mostly got hit by this padding here. This with the spandex here, and again, this spandex is useless because it doesn't have a flex cuff. The cuff doesn't flex with your hand, so you don't need the spandex to come with you. When you put spandex there or more flexible material that might not be spandex, the whole point of it is when you go like this, it comes with you. But because there's no like connection pieces here, this is a very nice and open flexible cuff. This doesn't have to float with you and come with you. So really, this should just stay as a nylon piece all the way through. But when you look underneath, you can see how like it's just designed and open, and there's no padding here whatsoever. So anytime you do this, it's gonna hurt like crazy. Now imagine a puck hitting this. It's not gonna do well. Padding on this is atrocious right here. This is okay. It's just like a flimsy foam, and it could be a lot better. What like the old stuff had plastic inserts in it, so it was actually a foam with plastic inserts. So again, a downgrade, but it's not unbelievably awful for a retail glove. When we get on the backhand, this piece, again, not plastic, it is just a foam piece, which is cool. You have a shop locker built in. We've seen that with CCM with they had a D3O shop locker. Here's the thing though, under here, this foam is so useless. It's so soft. If this had the normal foam package of this, through there. So this has a triple density foam, which we'll talk about in 1 second. But if this had at least 2 densities here and then this, you'd get a lot more protection, but that would be more weight and that would be more expensive putting more dual densities here. So it's a single density. It's one of the least dense foams I've seen on a glove, and it's on the backhand piece. But obviously this plate is going to do a little bit there, but this plate would do a lot more if it was a plastic piece that was like what was on this one. This one had a shot blocker on the top, but I cut it off. You can see the remnants of it like right here and right here, just to kind of see what the build of this part was right here, as well as to see what was the actual shot blocker piece. That was actually a piece of plastic and then foam underneath, where this is just a foam. So with that plastic, it would be more protective. Then we get on to kind of the rest of the glove. It's weird how this is a plastic piece, this is a plastic piece, and yet this is a single density foam. When this was on the actual pour-on ones, this was a piece of pour-on with plastic insert on it. Now it's just a piece of foam going through it. So it's like, okay, that's another cut there. But yet this has plastic and that has plastic and this has plastic. So it's really odd that those pieces have it and then it kind of just loses it there. The other part on this is when you actually go like this with your fingers and you go like this, look at the gap. So for some reason, these are on angle, and angles I don't really mind because sometimes you can do angles so they line up really well with your hand in terms of where it like closes and kind of closes gaps. But this angle doesn't really do anything, and I can touch my fingers straight through. And if you grab an actual hockey stick, look at that. That can go right through, and you hit that hard enough, that is going to go right through there and hit your bare hand. This was a thing that was a problem with Warrior gloves in the past when they did their whole butter soft feel. They basically sacrificed protection on the fingers specifically to make it more broken in. Bauer's doing that here. Warrior has listened to feedback and made their a lot better. Bauer, on the other hand, is going to kind of an extreme in that sense. Continuing on to these fingers, previously all Bauer gloves for the top end ones were basically this. Pour on, a really, really dense foam. You can see how hard that foam is. It doesn't really move a lot. You can kind of squeeze the top, but it's really dense, and a piece of plastic. So obviously the way this works, force hits here, gets dispersed, hits there, gets dispersed. Finally, you have a cushioning level with even more dispersion because this is an excellent foam at the bottom. Now, pour-on is expensive because it has to be licensed. It's also gets wet, so it gets heavier. So it's not ideal material. I honestly think D3O is a bit better than pour-on is for that in terms of protection, but pour-on is fantastic and it is a solid material, and it honestly made Bauer gloves pretty unique and basically the leading when these gloves were out on retail. These things were a pro stock glove and you could get it on retail and it was fantastic. Same with the Supreme at the time. This was great. Now what we have is we have a triple density foam. When we get this bottom piece right here, it is so soft. There's such a low density foam on it and it's just super soft altogether. And then the middle piece is a harder density, so you can see it's harder to squeeze, which is fine because it's kind of like the same here, right? So you get softer here, which you can squeeze. But remember, this is a smart foam, so even though you can like squeeze this, the foam itself on hard impact, it doesn't transfer all that energy through. So it's a lot better than what a foam on here is. And then the top is super hard where you can't squeeze it at all. So you lost that top piece because this top piece you can squeeze in, so it is softer. And then you also lost that plastic piece. And this part at the top, even though it looks like a plastic piece because it kind of has a little indents at the top of here, the difference is it's not. You can push it inwards and bend it, and you can squeeze the top and bend it, and you can do this to it and fold it in half without any problem because it is not a plastic piece. Other part on it that they already cut years ago, so it's almost not worth talking, is how pathetic this is. Yes, it's just a backhand liner. It's not really an issue and it's comfortable and whatever. But Bauer, again, used to lead here with this glove, which was a giant piece of pour-on in the back, so you have even more protection on the backhand. These gloves were so good at the time that these basically almost acted as shot blockers as well, because you put them in there, you have a plastic insert with this foam package right here, and then you have the extra pour-on behind. Everything back here was way better than what was like on the market at the time. It was absolutely fantastic. This is a joke in response to that. Even if they kept this part out, which they did on the 1X Lite, they took this out. The 1X Lite is kind of where Bauer retail vapor gloves went bad. Once they took this piece out for pour-on, it was fine because the rest of it was still pour-on and they still had plastic inserts. But then they went the 2X Pro route where they took all that out and it was bad. And this is the same case with this. This is an awful glove in terms of protection, and in terms of like overall glove, Bauer is cheapening out on things. Remember, 2-piece thumb versus the old 3-piece thumb. Look at that. Look how that flexes. It's a 3-piece thumb. Bauer's like, oh yeah, we have this 3-piece thumb. It works so well, and it whole flexes as well as not going that way. So it's a really unique design and it works really well. And then now they do this. And honestly, that isn't the biggest deal, but the padding part everywhere is where it's just absolutely brutal, and I can't believe people are still buying this glove. Bauer has done some weird things with gloves in the past, and this was like a fantastic glove. Pour on at the bottom, you have that harder part, you have the plastic insert. Fantastic glove design, and this was basically a pro stock glove. It was called their 2-1, and the cuff you can see is basically their pro stock cuff that pros often select to go to, which the other one was more like this and more like coverage. So you could see this one was fantastic and great overall glove. Then they went to the 1X, which had a slightly different like shape to it and everything. And this is obviously a pro stock glove, but this glove was the same way. The 1X Pro had basically all these nice materials. It had the pour on, it had that hard foam at the top of this, and this actually came from a 1X glove as well. So it was one like this. So you had a pour on and that foam everywhere on here. The side piece was pour on. This is no longer pour on at all. It's way softer. You can feel it, and it's totally squishable. This is a lot more dense to there because it is the pour on. It had that excellent liner. And this glove right here, you can see it is slightly different. And this is kind of the funny thing with Bauer is how they went right back to their old kind of design. So this was an APX2. This was a 1X Lite. And you can see the backhand was the same. So Bauer copied their own homework on this one, which was kind of interesting. Regardless, this one was a 1X Lite. So this one's a bit different. This still has pour on, extremely, extremely dense foam here. Like this on this finger itself, you can't even feel the pour on. It feels like it's fully just like this hard black material everywhere. It's really impressive. This is still a pro option glove that people got, and like I mentioned, it had that shot blocker, so something a bit different. This one didn't have that plastic insert on here, so this was more of a retail backhand where it had the kind of 3-piece density foam, but this still had pour on in the backhand. You can feel it under there where the retail one didn't anymore. So the retail one got out of that pour on. This one still had 3-piece density foam, but no more plastics, but it had that massive plastic shot blocker on top. So it makes it a lot better. And this one has a plastic insert on the cuff. And finally, we get into here and we have that pour on piece on the inside. So it is absolutely ridiculous how this glove is still selling very well. It's really disappointing that Bauer has the market share they do, because honestly, people shouldn't be touching these gloves whatsoever, and they should totally ignore it. And basically Bauer needs to be punished commercially in order for them to kind of actually give a good product, because this thing is crazy light, but it's not a good product. If you're actually playing hockey and you need any resemblance of protection, this is the worst top end offering you can get. The FT6 Pro still has plastic inserts through it, has 2-piece density foams through it, and that plastic insert. It's better that way all the way through. And then the other option here is you still have the Tax, which fits closer to the Vapor than the FT6 Pro one does. Then you have this, which is Warrior LX2 Pro. This has the best foam package at retail right now, to be totally honest, and it does have plastic inserts on it, and you actually get a padded and protective glove. And look, they listened. There is no spandex through here whatsoever. So you have all these options to get a better glove than what this is offering. People really honestly need to stop buying Bauer gloves until they actually make good gloves again. And Bauer will say you get the same amount of protection on a triple density foam than you do plastic. If that was even the case, that this was more as protective as which these are, which it's not, why would you remove this and keep where you are? You should be making the things better. So if you added that plastic piece to it, you now have even a more protective glove while being lighter, because now you have 3 pieces of different foams, which are probably lighter than what these are. So why would you make it worse than what you could? Bauer is constantly chasing marketing with their numbers on this for how light it is, as well as just chasing margins by removing pour on, by removing 37.5. They're removing those things that you have to license where you get kind of a better product probably out of it, using their own thing like DCT, and honestly just making an inferior product. If this thing still had the protection and actual good glove that other companies are making, then it is totally fine. But this thing is honestly kind of pathetic, and I'm really disappointed that this is still like this and this is that bad. And the mock I looked at, which was the newest release, is basically the same thing, where it's getting worse and worse, and it's super disappointing. And people really need to stop supporting Bauer in terms of their gloves until they make a good glove again, because they're simply not doing that. And while I really wish people don't buy this glove and actually buy something that is good, people are still going to buy it, unfortunately. So we are doing the 3D hand test. So we have the 14 one in here and we have the 15 one in here, which is closer to my hand size. And that hand you can see is coming out the ends right there. And when we look at the 14, you can see the tips are all not past the block. So right before it, on there and there. So this glove fits totally true to size. This is the 14 glove, and you can see the 15 fingers are going past the tips. So definitely bigger on that sense. For the actual fit profile of this glove though, it is a bit looser. It is kind of I think it's called tapered or whatever. The fingers are somewhat snug, but the backhand's really open. You can see how it goes so much in there, and if you want to shake it off, you can. It is definitely a lot looser than what this glove is. This glove is a lot tighter. This is the Jet Speed. So this is closer to the Tax line in terms of direct comparisons, and is closer to the Alpha line in terms of how it comes off and overall snugness. So that's kind of the gist of this. But again, don't buy this glove. Do not support Bauer on this, and don't buy this glove. Buy a company that is actually making better products. So that's about it for this long rant. But also, like, this is bad, and I wanted to call it out because this glove is so awful, and there's people online that just don't understand with how this actually makes a difference. And maybe you'll still break your fingers if you use a glove with plastic inserts in it. That can happen, but you're making it a lot less of a chance for this. And even though this thing is the lightest glove on the market, all the pros are wearing stuff like this. If the pros can wear stuff like this, and McDavid can wear stuff like this with, well, he wears CCM, but let's be real, McDavid's gloves are a lot more beef than what this is, then you can wear stuff like that because your hands aren't as fast as theirs are. So it's not a big good deal. Don't buy these gloves. If you want to see me review specific products, remember, always reach out to the company on social media. Let's be real, Bauer is never ever going to do that after I do this over and over again with their gloves, but reach out to them on social media, let them know you want to see me review their product. So that way, hopefully I can get on their radar and get some gloves, like thankfully CCM sent these ones so I can review them and do real tests on. So again, thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to like this video, comment on it, let me know how bad Bauer gloves have gotten in the past, or let me know how wrong I am and how Bauer is the best company in the world, even though they keep cheaping out on everything and raising prices. Let me know. It's fun to hear. Remember to subscribe to YouTube, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Links are in the description. If you want to support the channel and you're buying hockey equipment anyways and you live in Canada, check out the links in the description to Hockey Supremacy. For in the US or hockey, clicking those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback, so I keep making more content and doing more reviews. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out links in the description to buy me a coffee. Everything through any of those links always comes back into the channel, so I can keep making more content and doing more reviews. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.